everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer today. Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope your week is going well. This is going to be my hot take and the transit talk on Saturn going direct in the sign of Pisces. If you guys like my content, you want to see more of it, make sure you click the bell button below so you're alerted as to when I have new videos coming out on the channel. We're here every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, dropping new astrological videos on the current transits. And Fridays, you can catch me here doing live readings generally, but I just want to put out a reminder. I think we're going to be doing our live readings actually on Saturday. So check out the community tab. We'll post a link letting you guys know, kind of tweaking the date a little bit, but I appreciate it. I've got a very, very busy month ahead. So we got Saturn going direct, guys, and I'm titling this video, "This Too Shall Pass." I think it's pretty appropriate given just the karmic effect of Saturn being in Pisces and Saturn going direct at 0 degrees, which is a pretty potent degree. Now, the phrase "this too shall pass" is an ancient proverb that conveys the idea that material conditions, whether good or bad, are temporary and will eventually change. Pretty appropriate for Saturn going direct in a mutable sign. This is often used to provide comfort and perspective during difficult times and to remind people that even in the face of adversity, things will eventually get better. For me, I think that this is a positive shift, especially for those of you guys who have like a very heavy Saturnian chart, or if you happen to be a Pisces, Aquarius, or Capricorn rising. I think that this is about kind of showing us where all of the work that we have been doing has not been in vain, that there is something good coming of some of the sacrifices that we've been making. Now, in particular with this phrase, the origin of the phrase is not attributed to a specific reference or individual, but it's been used in various forms across different cultures throughout history, and it's a common theme in folklore, religious texts, as well as literature. Apparently, one of the earliest known instances of this phrase comes from a Persian poem attributed to the Sufi poets and Rumi. So the poetry says, "Grieve not, for soon your sickness will end. This too shall pass." However, the sentiment expressed in the phrase is universal. It has been found in many stories, parables, and wisdom teachings from different cultures and time periods. So the message is essentially a reminder that life is a cycle of ups and downs, and even in the most challenging or joyful moments, eventually give way to something different. It encourages resilience, patience, and understanding, and the understanding that change is the only constant in life. Now, Saturn, right? Saturn is the planet of karma, responsibility, hard work, dedication. Moving through a sign that is a mutable water sign, Pisces, the 12th sign in the zodiac, which represents the collective karma, the collective undoing, and structures and things relating to leaders and government and boundaries and limitations. Now it's all coming front and center. So we're going to see some of what's been kind of brewing in the background. This happens in the midst of Scorpio season, so we have seen a number of planets that have been harmonizing with Saturn as they've come into Scorpio. But now Saturn's going to pack a little bit more of a punch, and it's going to give us the opportunity to move forward. Now, the degree also is very interesting because it's at 0 degrees, so we know that that is the purest form of that particular sign. So when we think of Pisces-related things, I'm going to give you a whole list of stuff that we're going to watch for, but what is invisible, what is spiritual, what is private, what is secret, what is hidden. Now, we're going to see Saturn go direct in the early morning hours of November 4th, 2023. So that direct will be happening from then on. Although by the time you guys are watching this video, you're starting to maybe feel the effects of Saturn going direct because Saturn is stationing. So we're going to definitely be seeing on the world stage, maybe even your own life, wherever Saturn is, some significant themes revolving around Saturn in Pisces that's coming to our awareness. Now, this will be on the 4th. It's going to be going direct at 0 degrees. And from here on, Saturn is going to be direct until the end of June of 2024. So just as a reminder, that's quite a stretch, right? We're watching this going into the beginning of November. So we're looking at what, 6-7 months of this direct motion. That essentially means that Saturn is going to pick up momentum. It's going to cross into the second decan. We're going to start to see more building of focus and responsibility, boundaries and limitation in the area of Pisces in your chart. Now, eventually at the end of June of next year, Saturn will retrograde at 19 degrees of Pisces. So this means if you have anything in the immediate first 5-6 degrees of Pisces, if that's your sun, moon, rising, if that's your natal Saturn, you're getting ready to finish up your Saturn return, you're under a Saturn transit, which may feel like there is more boundaries and maybe some delays, maybe some karmic things that you're dealing with. But pay attention if you have planets all the way up until about 19 degrees of Pisces, because you're going to be feeling that for the next year. And when Saturn is direct and moving forward, we might feel like the tests are more challenging. We might feel like it's harder to actually adapt and make the changes because Saturn is an immutable sign. This will be affecting Pisces placements that are about 0 to 2 degrees the most. So 0 to 2 degrees Pisces sun, moon, rising, or personal planets, as well as 0 to 2 degrees of the mutable signs. You will be feeling this. Now, Capricorn and Aquarius risings, because you're ruled by Saturn, you'll be feeling this as well. So it may not be going, direct exactly in regards to your personal planets, but when Saturn wakes up, you feel the effect of that a little bit more strongly, and hopefully you'll be rewarded for some of your hard work. Now, you'll be feeling the effects of the Saturn going direct until the better part of the end of November. And that's right around the time that Saturn is going to be moving to the first degree. So it's going to stay at 0 degrees for like a whole month. So we're going to be feeling that. And 0 degrees for me, like I said, is the purest form of any degree. I like to read to you guys from Degree Theory by Nicola. And I would like to read to you the 24 degrees, the 12 and 24 degrees, which correlate with Pisces, but this is going to be the purest form, right? So when we think of Saturn, which can be about leaders, it can be about boundaries, it can be about borders. I think we're going to see a lot more movement in regards to immigration and border security, border walls. I think we're also going to be finding out a lot more about things that have been going on in regards to immigration behind the scenes, things that we were not aware of. The list goes on. So Pisces things correlate more with things that disappear or disappearances, what is lost, what is secret or mysterious, or what's being kept secret or unexplored, fears, phobias, diseases, hospitals, things that are invisible, medication, pharmacy, pharmacists, asterisk, 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 isolated places, outskirts of town, monasteries, sanctuaries, anything dealing with church or divine energies, God, spirituality, hotels, things that happen at night, in error, by mistake, abysses, oil, gas stations, gasoline, drugs, drug addicts, drug dealers, photography, cameras, things that are false, insincere, counterfeit, forge, or false misrepresentation, vague, foggy, obscure, research, laboratories, sea, fishermen, fish nets, and anything seaside, drowning, to drown, poison, godfathers, or flight, runaway, or escape. So when we look at that 0 degrees of Pisces, that's how it expresses this energy. In the sign of Saturn, some things that really come up for me are going to be about probably secret limits or secret boundaries. I think we're going to be hearing about maybe where there's been some, dare I say, like government or political limitations in regards to what we know about diseases or about hospital regulations, medications. I wouldn't sleep on this. I think we're going to start to kind of realize where there's shortages of medications or medications that aren't working or medications that are being kind of kept from public consumption, and secrets that are potentially beginning to spill out or unfold pertaining to those in power or leaders, particularly older leaders or politicians. I'm curious to hear also more about, limitations and regulations in regards to drugs, not pharmaceutical drugs, but recreational drugs, and who or what groups have been falsely representing things, right? So remember, Jupiter is the dispositor of Saturn, and Jupiter and Uranus are about, you know, financial laws, agricultural laws, money and investments to be made. It's about wealth, sudden wealth. So I think that we're going to hear a lot more about who in government or politics is investing in what, and what do they know, and how are they, or how have they benefited, especially in connection with, you know, pharmaceutical investments or agricultural investments, or things that may pertain to electricity, right? And so if there's any like really significant drowning or poisoning or things like that that kind of come up, that would not surprise me. But 0 degrees is such a karmic degree. If I remember correctly, he spoke about this. Let's see. Usually I will mark the page, but I don't think I did on this one. Yeah, I think it would be, sorry guys, give me just a second. Here we go, 0 degrees. Okay, so Neptune, yeah, there isn't any examples of, there's examples of how he has used it, but there's not any examples of the degree by degree. So I'll spare you, but essentially it's going to be the purest form of this degree. And it's kind of bizarre because I feel like Pisces is one of the few signs that he doesn't mention. Probably the closest thing that he mentioned was Neptune being at 0 degrees. And so something about like Saturn going direct and that connection to Neptune, and the fact that Saturn is associated with Neptune, it is possible that it can be about, you know, things still connected to, you know, secret practices, secret groups, secret limitations that are going on behind closed doors. I, for one, have been like really fascinated with all the, I guess you could say, conspiracies of like masks and like things where you're seeing stuff on screens where you're like, is that really that person? Is that like a double? Like, are they wearing a mask? That's been very like Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, is like questioning our reality, you know? So Neptune's not going to go direct for a little bit, but Saturn going direct, I think, is going to show us eventually, you know, whatever has been kind of dissolving and falling apart, like this may be that moment where we're like, wait a second, this really isn't stable, this isn't secure. And Saturn isn't just about politics. It can also be about large corporations or something that has something solid to it. But when Saturn's in Pisces, it's not solid. It's kind of like a facade. It appears like it's got its act together, but it really doesn't. So something about Saturn going direct, we might hear more about institutions, financial institutions, because of the connection of Jupiter, where we're realizing it's not as safe and secure as we thought that it was. Anyway, let me read to you the Sabian symbol. Okay, so because this is 0 degrees of Pisces, we're actually going to be reading 1 degrees. And this is so interesting because this has like a totally different spin on the meaning of this going direct, but also definitely makes sense. Pisces 1, a public market. The keyword is commerce. The theme is interchange. The symbol speaks to the role of groups in helping each member grow and refine his own unique potential. The image of a public market symbolizes interchange of every kind, whether this takes form of trade, barter, or social communication. Every group has its own special genius and purpose, and the ability of a group to fulfill its mission is largely dependent on the willingness of each member to carry out his share of the load and perform his individual tasks to the best of his ability. The emphasis here is on the necessity to give and take at the heart of any collective effort, and being careful not to neglect personal needs and responsibilities in the process of trying to help others. At its highest, it represents exceptional talent for mediating and resolving disputes, and for getting people to work together cooperatively for the mutual benefit of all. Watch for complete self-centeredness, the inability to comprehend or appreciate the needs of others today. The accent is on interchange. Today could be marked by a network disruption or some kind of breakdown in the system. Your greatest advantage lies in keeping the lines of communication open. Make sure you're holding up your end of things. Focus on equal distribution of fairness of all concerned. Guard against putting your own interests above the welfare of the group, and avoid the every man for himself approach. Stepping stones would be shopping, interchange, communication, trade, business, buying, selling, give and take, finance, transactions, industry, commerce. So what does it mean? Well, I mean, we think of like a bustling marketplace and everybody's, you know, wheeling and dealing and interacting with one another. I think of this just in general terms, it's about social interaction, and it symbolizes and emphasizes the importance of social connections and interactions with other people. It suggests that the individual is associated with the degree of Pisces may have a strong need for social engagement and involvement within the community. Now, Saturn limits that in some way, right? So it can be kind of suggesting that there is a challenge in connecting with people or trading or being able to barter or connect and socialize. Now, the idea of the trade and exchange, in the context of the symbol, it might symbolize the need to exchange ideas, emotions, not just goods. And it can be a call to engage in mutually beneficial exchanges in various aspects of life. Now, I also think that this is about community and diversity, right? Pisces is a mutable sign. It is about a change or a difference of belief. Can be religious, it can be spiritual. And when I think of like a crowded marketplace, it's a reflection of diverse community and coming together. You have a wide variety of different cultures, different backgrounds, different ages, different genders, but everybody is able to engage and exchange in this common space. This particular symbol might encourage embracing diversity and learning from various perspectives. It can be a reminder to appreciate the richness that different people and cultures bring into our lives. Now, I think of like Saturn being limitation. I think of it being boundaries and borders. I think Pisces being the sea. It would not surprise me if we hear more about, disruptions in importing and exporting, stuff sitting outside of ports, having a difficult time getting in. Saturn can represent time, so there can be like delays in actually receiving things. But I do think that this also might be indicating this particular degree where there is opportunities for growth. I think back to like the new moon that we had in Pisces earlier this year, and I remember saying to everybody, being like, you're going to try with this new moon to set intentions to get things going, but you're going to feel like it's challenging to kind of get with the series of events that we need to kind of commit to. Or the intentions that we need to commit to. And I remember saying, until Saturn left these degrees, we're kind of really working with the first decan of Pisces, and we're going to have to keep focusing on envisioning the life that we want to build. We have to meditate on it. We have to think about it. We need rest. We need recuperation with Saturn in Pisces. So I think this placement teaches us that if we're working overtime, working harder is not necessarily working smarter. And that there is a need to really focus on our grand vision and not getting lost in like all of the little things that can be overwhelming and keep us from like the bigger picture. I also think that, this is going to be about opportunities for growth, because marketplaces are places where growth and expansion can occur. This symbol might suggest that the individual, or in this case, you, have opportunities for growth in development through your interactions with others and participation with community. So I know it's been a long couple years, man, more than a couple years. I think Saturn in Pisces, we saw, Saturn in Capricorn in, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. We saw some limitations going on, especially challenges with socializing going into 2020 as Saturn moved into Aquarius. And now Saturn being in Pisces, I feel like it's become normal to just be isolated. Right? It's become the norm to not interact as much, not go out as much, be behind a screen. Everybody's afraid of viruses or getting sick or whether or not the world is safe. But where is this actually a limitation? Saturn isn't just about holding us back. Saturn says you must do this thing. So if Saturn's going direct in the sign of Pisces at this degree, it means we have to learn how to exchange. We have to learn how to share ideas. We have to learn how to connect with different cultures, different people. And perhaps the only way to really do this is going to be in person, right? Saturn can be about physical things. We know that Saturn's going to come back into a sextile also with Jupiter, and eventually in this next year start sextiling Uranus. So I think this is going to be about the change that we're looking at collectively, and that we need to shift out of this perspective that we must be isolated, we must be safe, we must be secure, to know we have to come together collectively and start actually creating change with other people physically. getting connected to the earth, getting connected also to, you know, physical spaces and having contact with other people again. And a lot of this is also going to be about navigating the crowds. I think, you know, this particular degree, similar to a crowded marketplace, it's about navigating through life's complexities and also relationships that might require skill and awareness. So it might be, you know, important for us to be more mindful of how we navigate social situations and also manage these interactions. So much of Saturn in Pisces is going to be about vibes. You know, eventually we'll see Saturn come into contact with Neptune in the next 2 years, and that's going to show us that there is a whole world around us that we may not see, but energetically, emotions and us being empathic and tapped in and sensitive, we feel things even though we can't see them. We're affected by other people's kind of collective energies and emotions, even if we're not aware of that. So part of Saturn going through this sign is about the awareness of, well, what am I picking up when I'm around a crowd of people who are acting or behaving or feeling a certain way? So we might have to be a little bit better with some of our psychic awareness, some of our grounding, you know, putting up our shield, being aware of our auric field as we're going out and who or what we surround ourselves by. But I think if Saturn's going direct after a period of being retrograde, this is going to be an opportunity also to rebuild. Right now, Saturn has some strength because it's direct. So we're rebuilding, we're implementing some of the lessons that we've been working on since earlier this year when Saturn entered into the sign of Pisces. And I think that this is going to be about discipline, structure, and responsibility. And I don't know about you, but like I'm pretty Saturnian, but this has actually been a really challenging Saturn transit for me. And it should be positive because it's having positive aspects in my chart, but it's been really difficult. And I think that, you know, Saturn and Pisces can be like sand that's slipping through your hands, or, you know, water that's dripping through your hands. You can't hold it like you can hold it, you know, in a physical space, like in a glass or a vessel. It's been hard to comprehend the constant changes that are going on with Pisces. And so for me, and probably for other people, this is a period where now that it's going direct, it signifies a time where we have a good chance, you know, we've had a good chance to reflect and internalize the lessons that Saturn has given us. Now it's time to put these lessons to use. So if you feel like you've been struggling with some of the lessons, it's reflecting on that, right? Pisces going, okay, this is where I've kind of dropped the ball, or this is what I wasn't aware of, or this is where I was kind of, you know, self-sabotaging, or I wasn't doing X, Y, and Z. And now we can, you know, start to kind of put Saturn's lessons to practice. Forward motion, or planet being direct, is forward momentum. Okay, so now Saturn isn't looking backwards, it's looking forward. So much of Saturn retrograde, because Saturn came up to 0 degrees, was looking at the house or the sign behind it, which was Aquarius. Does anybody else think it's weird that we're now 3 going into almost 4 years after the pandemic, and we're really now starting to see the erosion, right? The breakdown in society, the breakdown in leadership, the breakdown in the economies. And we're realizing like, whoa, we've become way too accustomed to just passing the buck when it comes to who's going to protect us, who's going to guide us, when it comes to socializing. I mean, a bunch of things. Saturn in Pisces is, you know, where we've become perhaps even too comfortable just being in front of a screen. And so, you know, with this forward momentum now that Saturn's direct, we can look back and we can go, well, did that actually help society? You know, being separate, or, you know, being divided, or being in, you know, situations where we were feeling like we had to pick and choose between who we could socialize with because of certain conditions, or the friendships maybe that we lost, or maybe the relationship issues that we've had as a result of, you know, feeling separate with Saturn in Aquarius. So it's forward now. There's direct motion. It's bringing a sense of movement and progress. So this too shall pass. Whatever heaviness you've been feeling in the Pisces area of your chart, now that Saturn's direct, we're going to start to kind of move forward, and we can see, okay, now we can, you know, now we can proceed without as many limitations. I think that this is great, especially, you know, projects that may have been delayed or hindered during the retrograde phase. You might see things move forward a little bit more smoothly. This will also allow us to resolve delayed issues because Saturn retrograde does bring delays and obstacles. And when Saturn goes direct, then we have the opportunity to begin to resolve these issues. So this can be a time where we can start to address and find solutions for long-standing problems. So look at your chart. What house is Pisces? That is the area where you've been experiencing some blockages, some delays, some challenges, some maybe fogginess. And now Saturn is waking up. I want to remind you, though, that Saturn is on a one-way course as it's coming into eventually a conjunction with Saturn with Neptune. We will see Saturn and Neptune meet in the early degrees of Aries, and then they will retrograde back together 2025, going into 2026, into Pisces. So call me, I guess, call me Saturnian, but I would consider myself a realist. Whatever Pisces is in your chart, it's almost like you might be holding back in finally letting something dissolve, or finally letting something go, or finally becoming aware that something is ending or something is breaking down or dissolving, right? Saturn conjunct Neptune is about new, maybe spiritual awareness, having a grounded kind of focus when it comes to our dreams or our desires. But it's going to be an interesting conjunction because we'll see it in Aries and we'll see it in Pisces. Anyway, my point is one way or another, whatever you're holding back and finally releasing or dissolving or changing in the Pisces area of your life, inevitably will pass. It will fade away. We will see those problems kind of clear. We may see that you let something or someone go. So you can do this the easy way, which is the awareness that something is going to come to an end. And collectively, right, we're going to see some kind of collective grand reveal that's like, oh, shift, this has all been, this has all been like the Truman Show or the Matrix or something where we've had the kind of the wool pulled over our eyes about certain situations, especially things that we see on screens. So we need to be really careful about what we're seeing on the internet, what we're watching on TV, what we're seeing on the news, what we're watching in movies, because it will have this effect of getting us to believe something that might actually not necessarily be true. Anyway, my point is that we can take the necessary steps forward and being like, okay, this thing over here in my life, this is going to end, this is going to dissolve. So how do I start taking necessary action and like forming an action plan to like really let this thing go? You're going to have to know what house Pisces is in to get that answer. But I do think that, for many of us, like I said, it's going to help us address some of these long-standing problems and find solutions. But this requires us to take responsibility, which is a huge keyword when you think of Saturn. Saturn's direct motion encourages individuals to take responsibility for actions and choices. It's a time to make mature decisions and take charge of our life in areas where, Saturn is obviously very prominent. Now let's talk about the positives. Scorpio season just kicked the door in with Sun and Mercury and Mars all in a trine to Saturn. So it's safe to say at this point in time, we have a sense of awareness of what we must change in order to take more responsibility, which probably is going to come closer to the new year, the real new year. I'm talking about March of 2024, as planets are starting to come into conjunction with Saturn. But there's no harm in preparing and clearing things out and getting things ready now if that's what you want to do. I also think about how Saturn is going to come back into harmony. It'll start sextiling Jupiter again over the next couple of months. So the more that we're focusing on taking time to pause, reflect, and realize that certain things have to come to an end, the sooner we can kind of like get right with God or our belief system or our spiritual practice, the more that we can focus on not trying to hold on to things that are falling apart, but be focused on building new things in the future. New foundations in society, new opportunities for wealth and abundance, for resources, for connecting with the planet. I keep telling people, like, why do you want to hold on to the system that's falling apart? People are like, well, what are we going to do? You're going to let it go. Eventually, that's what we're going to have to do in 2025. But for right now, I think there's a need to really sit back and kind of go, well, what kind of a life do I want to build? And what are my goals? And how can I be kind of strategizing and planning behind the scenes and getting prepared for the direction of where the world is going to go, because the world is going to shift here in the next couple of years. So really, Saturn says, you have to have a strong foundation in your belief system, in your faith. You have to be really committed to peace and also sometimes time behind the scenes and by yourself to be able to receive all of the guidance, the wisdom, the goodies, the abundance, the growth that comes through Taurus. So take that time to pause and reflect and think about not just where you're going to be a week from now, but where do you want to be a year from now? Where do you want to be 3 years from now? Start thinking like that. That's going to help you guys kind of commit to some of these goals in the long run. and also not get too fixated on how things are right now. Be more focused on the future. Now, this means that we're going to have to set and achieve goals, right? Saturn's about time. Saturn's about time commitments and focusing on, being able to meet some of our deadlines. So the direct motion does support goal setting and long-term planning. It's very favorable for working towards achieving your ambitions and laying the groundwork for future success, right? So I see Saturn kind of laying the tracks for the imagination train to help get to Jupiter and Uranus, which is this abundant future that can be very different and something that can be physically shifting, also physically shifting our reality through what intentions we're setting. This is going to require us to have increased external accountability though, right? So now Saturn's direct, so it's like the teacher's back in the classroom, we're being held accountable for if we're not doing our Saturn work. So, during the retrograde phase, the focus may have been more internal. We might have been really focusing on examining our own beliefs and behaviors. But now that Saturn's going direct, there may be a shift towards external accountability, such as meeting deadlines, fulfilling obligations, adhering to societal norms and rules. So you're not going to get a pass in the Pisces area of your life like you were the last couple of months. And then finally, there can be a release of frustration. So I have found that some people do experience a sense of relief when Saturn goes direct, especially if they have been dealing with challenging or frustrating situations during the retrograde phase. So the energy that was held back now may find an outlet, right? So you have to look at where is this happening, Pisces? What is it tied into? Aquarius and Capricorn. So things that have happened with Aquarius and Capricorn that's finally leading to some of these Saturn shifts. Now, in general, like I said, Saturn represents discipline, responsibility, limitation, structure. But Pisces deals with intuition, empathy, and sensitivity. So Saturn going direct suggests that these qualities are expressed more in a straightforward manner. So there's a focus on structure and discipline in the realm of intuition, sensitivity. This is going to indicate that as a society or as a whole, we're more inclined to establish boundaries and responsibilities in spiritual or emotional lives. So there's a practical approach to managing these emotions and intuitive insights, right? That's what I love about Saturn and Pisces, or if maybe you have Saturn conjunct Neptune natally, or if you have some Saturn-Neptune aspects, you know that Saturn can give you the responsibility and it can give you the outline, right? The form for being able to practice or believe or create, right? Neptune. So it's so important to be doing our, spiritual boundary work. It's as simple as you walk out the door, take time. If you're grabbing your keys, your wallet, or your purse, take 5 seconds to just close your eyes and imagine that you're covering yourself in this golden bubble, or maybe it's a pink bubble or a purple bubble. I don't know. Choose your own adventure, pick your color. Before you're walking out, you're going out there and getting slimed by the collective. Because, Saturn and Pisces can be about depression. It can be about mental health issues. It can be about drugs. It can be about major shifts going on with people psychologically and people kind of getting hit with stuff in the ethers and how it's affecting everybody. And as we go to 2024 and 2025 and these two planets inch closer, we're going to see this become even more of a thing out in the world where it's almost becoming normal to see homelessness, to see addiction, to see mental health issues. And we have to get on top of it now while Saturn is direct in the early degrees. And we start to see some of the karmic implications, both for ourselves, but as well as our world at large, for the lack of responsibility in individuals that have led to this point. Now, when Saturn, moves out of its retrograde, I think it's becoming external. So this is where if you've been working on goals, if you've been setting intentions, working on things on an internal level, now they can start to become more physical. So I think that, if we've been working harder to become aware of our boundaries and our limits, now we can, see that we're having improved productivity, maybe health, maybe shifts in regards to our career. After all, Saturn does deal with career and responsibilities. So overall, this period of having had introspection and self-assessment is now ending, and now we're shifting into being able to see some of the rewards of hard work, dedication, and staying focused when it comes to making our vision for the future a reality. I'd like to take you guys through the 12 signs really quick and just show you where this is happening, because you're going to have such a long stretch of having Saturn direct. So that way you guys know what to be expecting. As a reminder, I am a Western astrologer, so I practice Western astrology. I will be taking you guys through the 12 rising signs using the whole sign method. If you want to use Placidus, you can. Just check out 0 degrees of Pisces in your chart. You might have to look at more than one house, but nevertheless, that is where we're going. And 0 to 2 degrees of Pisces placements are going to feel this the most. Equally also the mutable signs. So Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, if you have the first couple degrees, you will be feeling this square. You're under a Saturn square transit this year, so you're kind of feeling some of those challenges and delays. Hopefully it eases up for you a little bit here in the new year. I should say also, because it's at 0 degrees, this is also impacting the late degrees of the fixed signs. So if you have something, 27, 28, 29, of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, you are also feeling this as well, because it's right on the cusp of it being a fixed sign or a mutable sign. So this is where it pays to know some of your placements, so you're aware as to what these transits are bringing. My Capricorn and Aquarius is pay attention as well, okay? Because your chart ruler is waking up. All right, so let's take you guys now to the rising sign for Saturn going direct. All right, so I'm going to start with Aries and Aries rising. What's up, Aries? Welcome to Saturn direct. You'll be experiencing this on the 4th. You will have Saturn going direct in Pisces in your natal 12th house, okay? Saturn rules career. It also rules goals, networking, friends, and associations. And so you've got Saturn now waking up in your 12th house. Now, this is spiritual and subconscious matters becoming very important. This is dealing with hidden or repressed issues. This is also about developing a disciplined approach to self-reflection and inner growth. My advice is, personally, have a well-established meditation routine. Take time, even if it's 10 minutes a day, to have a routine where you're by yourself. You can pause and reflect on your goals, on your career and your responsibility. Some of you guys may be, returning to school. Some of you guys may be focusing on working behind the scenes. But regardless of what this is, this is about really taking that time to be feeling connected to your higher self and really moving through some of the changes that are going to be really kind of coming through here over the next couple of years for yourself personally. Let's see what the tarot says for this Saturn direct. Ooh, 3 of Swords. Oh, 12th house can be about where things rest. It can be about completing things. I wonder for some of you guys, is it this awareness that's like, my career has to change. My status in the world has to change. I have to finally deal with, letting some kind of grief or letting something go that maybe you've been resistant to letting go or ending. It can be about like your status. So it doesn't just have to be about work. It can be about, I was married and now I'm divorced, or I was, a business owner and now I'm an employee. Something that we don't talk enough about with Saturn is that Saturn is also connected to guilt. It's connected to, feeling sorrow, especially in Pisces. And so I wonder if you're reflecting on some things that haven't quite panned out, haven't quite changed, things that maybe you feel like didn't go in the direction you wanted them to go. And now this is about being like, okay, I'm not going to stay in that. I'm letting that go, because the three of Swords can quite literally be about pulling the swords out and healing something. Maybe you're feeling a little blue at the time of this particular direct, but I am excited because you got a retrograde coming in your 10th house soon, and you're going to have an exalted Mars going through your 10th house. So one ending might bring an opportunity for a new beginning and for a new status out in the world for you professionally. Okay. Good luck, Aries. We've got Taurus and Taurus rising. You will be experiencing Saturn going direct in Pisces, and this will be in your natal 11th house. Saturn has connections to your 10th house of career and your 9th house of belief, philosophy, higher education, and law. Saturn going direct in your 11th house is an interesting time because it's friendly with your sun, moon, or rising. It's supporting in a sense of a sextile. This will be all about friendships, social networks, group associations you're going to be really focusing on. I think that this is also about focusing on, taking on leadership roles within organizations and establishing long-lasting friendships and working towards common goals with other people. I think of professional associations because of the connection to the 10th. I think of associations that might have to do with travel, belief, spirituality, education, teaching, learning. And this seems to be like the focus, but you might realize in order for you to achieve some of these goals, there is a sense of needing to belong to a collective, needing to create a group, needing to join a group, maybe starting one, being a leader. Pluto's going into your 10th house soon, so I think you realize that there's only one of you, and what you're trying to figure out is how you can build a team or collaborate with a friend or other people to help make some of your dreams a reality, especially because the 11th house is the house of wishes. The card that I get for you is the World card. I love this. This is about everything coming full circle. Feeling like, hey, things are actually working in your favor. Maybe there's been some delays or some challenges connecting with certain groups or being able to kind of bring people together, but it's all coming together now. And the World card is about being able to receive some of the riches and kind of passing go and collecting your $200 and being like, okay, I learned my lesson in this sense, on to the next thing. Yes, Saturn waking up in the 11th might bring some sense of awareness of the reality, right? The harsh reality of some friendships and where maybe you're feeling rejected, but there's a lot of support coming from your 7th house right now. So you've either got like a really encouraging partner or a business partner or, relationship, somebody who's kind of saying, get out there, go meet people, go get things done. That's really kind of pushing you along at this time, okay? Good luck, Taurus. We got Gemini and Gemini rising. You will be experiencing Saturn going direct in Pisces in your 10th house. And if you are an early degree Gemini, you're really feeling the Saturn square this year. Good news is Saturn does well in the 10th. The challenge is that it's squaring your sign. So you are feeling like you're having to adhere to rules, limits, regulations, dealing with superiors at work, sometimes some challenges in regards to trying to figure out what you want to do. So when Saturn goes direct here and it's connected to your 8th and your 9th houses of transformation, joint resources, and belief, likely what's going to happen is you're focusing more on your career, your reputation, your public image. These all become central topics for you. And hard work that you've been putting towards your career is probably going to start to become more visible. Now, I do think it's important for you to be focusing on long-term career goals and ambitions and working on building a strong professional reputation. But like I said, if you happen to have a sun, moon, or rising within the first couple of degrees, likely this is the final square that you're experiencing. And so now you might have the breakthrough of getting the recognition that you've been working so hard for. I also like that we've seen a slew of planets through your 6th house of work and kind of scheduling coming into a trine with these placements. So it might mean working and being of service and making a sacrifice, or working with a group of people, or being able to provide assistance is quite literally, what's putting you on the map, putting out a lot of fires and helping a lot of people. Now suddenly you're getting recognition for being a leader and for like helping people work through problems. The card that we get is Temperance, which is very interesting because I see this as more of like a Sagittarius or a Jupiter energy. I think so much of like, the oppositions between your 12th and your 6th house is like learning how to delegate tasks, and that's part of being a good boss or a good leader. And also like knowing what is your responsibility and what you just quite literally can't take on because of your physical limitations, your schedule limitations, what have you. So Temperance is talking about learning moderation and not overworking and not showing up and getting the job done, finding something in between that's like that sweet spot And I think a lot of this is about productivity right now, with planets going through your 6th house and like learning to kind of weigh things out and go, okay, can I take this on? Can I not? What's working? What's not working? So you're learning how to work differently. And I think you're willing to make the necessary changes within your professional position at the right time. Good luck, Gemini. We got Cancer and Cancer rising. You are experiencing Saturn going direct, and that will be in your 9th house of Pisces. Now, you know, Pisces is a fellow sister sign. So if you have early degree Cancer placement, Sun, Moon, or Rising, Saturn going direct is supporting your ascendant. So it's supporting you, your emotions, your body. And Saturn has connections to your 7th house of relationships with other people and your 8th house of joint resources. Now, Saturn going direct in the 9th house is going to put a focus on higher education, travel, and philosophical beliefs. This is about pursuing long-term educational goals and developing a disciplined approach to expanding your horizons. Now, this might be relationships with mentors, relationships with counselors, with teachers, with therapists, with your, your astrologer. Although I think that this is more about work and work relationships or long-term committed partnerships, Capricorn. Perhaps maybe you're trying to learn more about how to market something, how to sell yourself. It can be that you're really doing your due diligence to work hand in hand with like somebody in marketing, or maybe you're wanting to publish a book, so you're having to work with an editor. There can be lots of stuff coming up where you're really focusing on the bigger picture and how to be able to, I think, achieve some of the desired goals within the 9th house. Now, this can also be about relationships at a distance, and relationships at a distance beginning to evolve a little bit better because Saturn rules your 7th house of partners. And some of you guys might find yourselves traveling or meeting people in other places, or you might find that it's easier for you to travel within an existing relationship. Okay? So let's take a look. Let's see. A disciplined approach in expanding your horizons. I think a lot of this is like great for committing to colleges. This is great for, more regularly developing a relationship with like a mentor or a guru as well. The card that I get is the Moon. How appropriate, being that you're a Cancer. I think for me, this is saying that you're learning how to kind of tap into maybe your intuition or your spiritual side in a practical way. And so for some of you guys, it might mean that you're quite literally like working with, a teacher or a mentor to help you kind of develop some of these abilities, or maybe to kind of guide you so that way you're not having a sense of doubt. Doubt can definitely come up with Saturn. Okay, that's a big theme, is like, okay, am I going to be able to accomplish this? So those of you guys who are facing challenges in relationships or in regards to education or your belief system, it just takes a little bit of faith, for you to be able to kind of see this through. Look for the trines to your ascendant to be supporting your emotions and like really paying attention and listening to your emotions, because it's going to give you an idea of what direction this is going to go. But the Moon card does talk about lunar transits, full moons, new moons, and it can also be talking about the fact that something is getting ready to emerge that you haven't seen yet, but that you have to be paying attention to your intuition to be able to better understand. So if there are some spiritual, religious, educational, law-related things that you don't know, find somebody. Saturn is there to be a partner to kind of help you through that, to better understand some of the symbolism with Saturn and Pisces, or the mystical kind of interpretations of what you're experiencing. Good luck. We've got Leo and Leo rising. You will be experiencing Saturn going direct, and this will be in the sign of Pisces in your natal 8th house. Now, Saturn has associations with your 6th house of daily routine, health, and habits, and your 7th house of relationships, partners, and other people. So as you know, Saturn is going direct in your 8th house. This is going to be all about transformation, shared resources, and deep emotional issues that are finally becoming untangled. I think of Saturn in this 8th house of, having relationships and partners that aren't working, or they're not bringing in resources, or maybe you're having to deal with tax or an inheritance type of issue where there's been delays. Working with people to help you move through some of these delays or some of these blocks. The blocks can also be with employees, or it can be with things involving like health and habits. But this is about dealing with issues relating to loans, inheritances, or other people's things. This might also be about developing a deeper understanding of your own psychological processes. Saturn can be that blockage. The 8th house can be about, where we are resistant to change. And that can be intimacy, that can be finances, that can also be some of our habits. And Saturn can be a sobering energy. So I would look at your dietary habits, your drinking habits, your working habits, and where are those habits potentially creating some challenges, maybe in your relationship or your productivity. Saturn in Pisces does in conjunct or quincunx your sign. So if you're within the first couple degrees of Leo, I think this is about realizing that there's something that has to be let go of, and not holding on to something for the wrong reasons. It can be a person, it can be a habit, it can be a thing. Because Saturn in conjunct the ascendant is trying to get you to shake something off and to detox it and to observe where that's having an impact on you emotionally or psychologically. The card that I get for you is the Page of Wands. So that could be you, Leo, but it could also be in regards to a Sagittarius or an Aries. Pages are new beginnings, fresh opportunities that you're just kind of getting accustomed to. I wonder if this is connecting to Sagittarius, and it can be about how, you're exploring more work with your inner child, or you're doing some healing of the heart space, or you're processing grief, or learning to kind of heal or let something go or say goodbye to something. Saturn in the 8th house is not for the faint of heart. There can definitely be a lot of grief over losing someone or something. And so there can be a sense of like being like, hey, I feel like I'm finally making breakthrough in grief therapy, or I'm finally making, a breakthrough in couples therapy, and learning to kind of open up a little bit more and not be so afraid. And this is encouraging you to be more playful, to be more, experimental, to be more youthful, to take chances, and, not feel like life has to be heavy, or that all things end. The beauty of the 8th house is that things end, but new things begin. So whether this is relationships or jobs or habits, we're having the opportunity here to go deeper into new habits that I think are going to be healthier for you in the long run, and maybe help you be a little bit more active. Good luck, Leo. We've got Virgo and Virgo rising. You will be experiencing Saturn going direct in the sign of Pisces in your natal 7th house. Saturn has connections to your 6th house of health and daily routine, and your 5th house of creativity. Also, this can be about self-employment. This can be about romance, children, and overall happiness. Now, when Saturn goes direct in the 7th house, partnerships and relationships are your primary concern and focus. There might be building strong and stable relationships. So you might find that there is a definitive turning point in a relationship, where there's suddenly somebody you meet that you can be serious about, or there can be commitment, or there can be a big decision about a relationship. And this is also learning the responsibilities of sharing life with a partner. Now, Saturn has connections to your 6th house of routine. So maybe it's about working into a routine where you can share your life with another person. And it also has connections to your 5th house of children and dating and creativity. So relationships might level up through taking romance more seriously, through talking about commitment and maybe even ceremonies, because Jupiter rules the 7th and it's sextiling. So you may find yourself meeting somebody saying, what are you looking for? Are you looking to get married? What is it that you want? But it can also be this like sobering reality of like the real situation in a relationship as well. So it's going to be different for everybody. I think the question is, because of Saturn's connection to the 5th house, do you really love something or someone? That's going to be something you're going to want to be asking yourself. Even if you're single, it's like, what do I love? What am I looking for? Okay, I'm not looking for anything. Well, then how can I develop a better relationship to myself, and what makes me happy outside of a relationship? But watch for the karma in regards to relationships. I know that Saturn in the 7th can be challenging, but I think ultimately you're on the path of being able to really form a union that you can realize that is like the perfect person and it was worth waiting for, right? That could be the case for some of you. Let's take a look. The card that I get for you is the Eight of Swords. I see this as holding back or you know, fear of not being able to come together with another person, or maybe fear of disappointment or being let down. Remember, the Eight of Swords is mental, right? So you don't want to get stuck here. And this can mean all of the things that you've been afraid to discuss or talk about, or maybe you're finally, you know, healing issues and resolving issues from the past, so that way you're not feeling stuck or rigid moving forward into future relationships. Seventh house is great for counselors, therapists, astrologers, people who can kind of help you unpack some of this stuff. And it's great to be able to get like an unbiased, you know, like third party that can kind of help you work through things without feeling like they're judging you. So if you're feeling stuck, focus on trying to find somebody who you can work with to help you through some of this. It can be a friend, therapist, partner, somebody, so that way you feel like you're working more in your heart space and you're able to open up to vulnerability in relationships. Good luck. All right, so we've got Libra and Libra rising. What's going on, Libra? You will be experiencing Saturn going direct in Pisces in your natal 6th house. Saturn has connections to your 5th house of creativity, self-employment, and joy, and your 4th house of home, family, roots, and the past. Now, Saturn is going direct in your 6th house, and this is the area of health, work, daily routines. This all comes to the forefront. You'll be focusing on establishing discipline and organized work habits, improving overall well-being, and your physical health. Now, same as Leo, you know, Saturn and Pisces in conjunction or quincunx is your sign. So if you have a 0 to about 2 degree Libra, sun, moon, or rising, this tells me that you're having to let go of something. You're having to let go of a habit or a pattern. And Saturn is the ruler of the 4th house of home responsibilities and timing when it comes to home and organization of your home, maybe. Maybe it's time management or issues revolving around organizing, cleaning, or taking care of pets. I think Saturn here can also be about time management, making sure that you're getting all the things done that you need to get done. I'm laughing because I'm a Libra rising, so it's like this whole transit has just been such a nightmare for me, and I really underestimated the inconjunct. I would say that the positive is that if you know your course of action and what you need to get done, now you can get it going. It may require you to organize or kind of run the home base in a way that's going to be a little bit more functional, especially if you work from home. And I would just say sticking to time frames and you know, scheduling things out is going to be kind of your best friend as you move through these particular transits. It's also so you can make more time for the things that you love, for the fun that you want to have, for the hobbies that you want to have, more time for date night, you know, hanging out, meeting people, spending time with your kids. These are things that have to kind of get done so you have more division between your work and your home life balance, right? Let's take a look. What do the cards say for you? Also, this is about health and habits. So outside of like work routine, this is like, are you eating your veggies? Are you practicing sobriety? Are you getting adequate sleep, right? And if you're feeling like you're not getting that stuff, if you're not feeling that way, then it's about taking action. The card that I get is the King of Coins, which is interesting because this could be a Capricorn, it could be a Taurus, it could be a Virgo, Libra. This is about somebody who's coming in to help you, I think, get some of this stuff done. So I'm wondering, is it a brother? Is it a father? Is it a husband? It's somebody who's like, I can do it, give it to me, I'll do it. What do you need me to do? Saturn is, you know, somebody who maybe you're hiring to bring in to help you so you can get more work done. So it can be an assistant, it can be a dog walker, a trainer, somebody to kind of help you handle the busy work. So that way there's kind of less on your plate. So that way you can focus on the bigger picture. And I think for you right now, because there's so many planets going through your 2nd house, It can be about, you know, focusing on money and resources. And you might say, well, it does make sense, you know, to pay for these things, to pay for somebody to help me get organized, to get a trainer, to, you know, have somebody come in and take care of odds and ends around the house. So I have more time, right? Saturn is time. Good luck. We've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. You will be experiencing Saturn going direct in your 5th house. Saturn is connected to your 4th house of home and your 3rd house of communication. So Saturn going direct in your 5th house is going to put an emphasis on creativity, romance, and self-expression. You may be working on long-term creative projects or investments. You might also be focusing on hobbies. Now may be a time where you're feeling more capable or ready when it comes to self-employment, committing to a romantic partner, but also there can be more responsibility that's coming up for children. Particularly if you have a child, this can be your first child. This can also be talking more about care and responsibility for children, especially because the 3rd house is about communication and the 4th house is home. I think about how, especially if you're a Scorpio sun, moon, or rising in the early degrees, you're experiencing some trines. So if it's trining your ascendant in these degrees, it means that you're more focused on being able to be self-expressive and happy and like what you're creating. And Pisces can be very much about art and film and music and other things. So you might feel like that's an outlet that you're wanting to focus on. I also think about Jupiter being in the 7th house coming into a sextile with Saturn. So there is some collaborative effort. So it's like, are you taking up a hobby with a significant other? You know, it's finding some way to be able to have fun and something that you're learning together. Could it mean that there's opportunities for travel? Because Jupiter can be about expanding your horizons and that, you know, you're really feeling like it's time to have more fun. Saturn going direct is great for having forward motion in romantic relationships. So if you're out there, you're trying to meet people, you might find people who are going to be, you know, kind of better suited for what it is that you're looking for. And you have a whole slew of planets in your 1st house right now. So you're feeling extra antsy or maybe kind of pumped to, you know, go out there and meet other people. The oppositions to the 7th can be connections with others. So Saturn going direct can give you the opportunity to be able to share either how you're feeling or something that you've been working on with others. The card that I get is the Ace of Pentacles. Great card, Scorpio. Maybe the 7th house opposition is going to be your marketplace. And maybe you're just like really working hard and producing and getting things out there and you're feeling really good because people are receptive to what you're putting out there, to what you're creating, to what you're selling, to meeting other people. It can be clients, can be partners. This is also about finances, money, and resources. Saturn in the 5th house can indicate that if you play your cards right and if you're really educating yourself when it comes to the market, there is an opportunity for you to make a decent chunk of change, right? Or just investing in yourself and finding ways to be able to kind of put out the fruits of your labor and receive something back. Ace of Coins can be about money, resources, investments, or some kind of physical thing that's going to show up that's going to help you get paid. Good luck. We got Sag and Sagittarius rising. You will be experiencing Saturn going direct. This is going to be in Pisces in your natal 4th house. Okay, my Saggies. So Saturn is connected to your 3rd house of communication, movement, vehicles, and siblings, and your 2nd house of personal possessions, money, and values. If you happen to be a 0 to 2 degree Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising, you are really feeling this with the square. So pay attention to what's coming up for you. Saturn square your ascendant can definitely bring some challenges with your body, and it can also bring some challenges when it comes to freedom. Sag rising wants freedom. So you might be feeling a little landlocked with Saturn here. This is going to put a focus on home and family. You know, that will be taking precedence. You might focus on improving your living situation or your emotions. You might be feeling like you're reflecting on the past. Issues related to family responsibilities can arise here. Obviously, touch wood. But, you know, Saturn in the 4th house is, well, I got to stay home. You know, I have to help take care of my parent, or, You know, I bought a house and I'm trying to kind of budget, and I'm doing that so I can afford to kind of, you know, buy a new dishwasher, you know, fourth house things, water and home and kitchen, or plumbing, or art and design. I could see a lot of you guys being like, well, I'm grounded and this is great, but it's costly, and, you know, there's a lot of responsibility pertaining to a physical home space. I would just say with this, you know, this planet going direct, if you have been working hard to bring your place together, if you've been working hard to relocate, if you've been working hard with family matters, or working through some heavy emotions, maybe now you're going to start to see a bit of a reprieve. Thankfully, later this year, we'll see Saturn and Jupiter come back into a slight sextile. So the more that you're focused on working through these emotions and, you know, getting work done at home, the more that it's going to empower you to feel like it's okay to make changes in your routine, your health, and your habits. And eventually, I think coming into next year, it's going to be about a completely different schedule or workspace to begin with. So for right now, look for the progress within your home. I mean, I would think of, you know, clients that had Saturn retrograde here and telling me that it's taken so long to close a deal on a home, or so long to relocate a parent, or to be able to finish, you know, renovating a space in their home. Now, most likely you'll see some kind of headway. And also the mood should lift. The card that I get is the Nine of Wands. Does not surprise me. It's like, hold on, it's almost done. You've almost completed a lot of the challenges relating to home, family in the past. You may feel like it's all on you, and that's pretty common with Saturn in the fourth house, because you have to kind of learn to be your own parent, or you have to learn to nurture yourself. I also think of all these planets going through Scorpio in your 12th house, and it's been kind of lighting Saturn up a bit. It's like, yes, there's new beginnings on the home front, but it's come with things ending. And so maybe there's been a lot of reflecting on what changed, what happened, what shifted to get you to where you are now. But you're almost done. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Stay really focused and do what you can to take really good care of yourself emotionally. Saturn Pisces in the fourth is create like a Zen den, especially in your kitchen or in your bathroom. You know, set up a space where you can meditate, or where you can soak and take baths, so that way you can be kind of moving through some of the emotions. Good luck. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You will be experiencing Saturn going direct, which is very important for you. Actually, for the next 3 signs, Saturn's going direct in your 3rd house. And obviously Saturn rules your 1st house of body and self, and 2nd house of values, money, and resources. So my Capricorns, if you happen to be 0 to 2 degrees of Capricorn, you're receiving a sextile, which is really supportive and harmonious. Saturn is going direct in the area of your chart that deals with communication, learning. This is going to be where you're seeing the most movement and the most concentration. It might give you improved organization and study skills, and also strengthen relationships with siblings or neighbors. Now, in particular, I think of like where there's been communication issues, they may ease up, they may get better. Where there's been, you know, problems in the neighborhood, or issues with a vehicle, or, you know, issues with a gadget, it might lighten up a little bit. And I think this is also about tapping into your intuition and knowing when to speak and when to listen. And maybe you get more kind of into learning more about metaphysics or astrology or tarot. Maybe you yourself are journaling and writing your intentions down every day, your mantras. Maybe you're pulling a couple tarot cards for yourself, because, you know, Saturn in the 3rd can be about divination in Pisces. Anyway, communication and concentration is going to get better. And I would imagine there's been a bit of a lack of that recently with Saturn retrograde. So I think you're going to be able to find the words more easily. I think you're going to be able to travel more easily. And I think that this is also going to be about more so kind of tapped in and connected to your higher self when it comes to making moves. Things just flow better when your chart ruler is direct, you know? The card that I get is the Star card, which is cool because this is the tarot being like, hi, you need to talk about Aquarius too. And Saturn's connection to the 2nd house. So I feel like the Saturn in the 3rd is being like, okay, I've worked through financial challenges. I've worked through self-esteem challenges. Now I have to believe it. Now I have to speak it. Now I have to write it. I have to start integrating this into like my thoughts and my everyday life. This is also about friends, healing, wishes, and your goals, because Aquarius is connected with that. So maybe you're really taking action when it comes to seeing some of these things through, not just talking about it, being about it. Good luck, Capricorn. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You are experiencing Saturn going direct in Pisces in your natal second house. Now, this is important because Saturn traditionally rules your sign. It also has connections to the 12th house of what is hidden and subconscious. So essentially, Saturn going direct in the second house is all about financial matters and material possessions being emphasized. You might be working on budgeting, saving, or long-term financial planning. You might be developing self-worth, self-reliance in terms of resources. And I feel like this is about not letting fear of lack or lack mindset getting in the way. After all, Saturn is connected to the 12th house of what is hidden and subconscious. So you can't be afraid of, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? It's like, no, we're going to plan for a rainy day. We're going to save just in case. We're also going to get right with our self-esteem and what we need to be able to ensure that you're not just getting by, you're actually thriving when it comes to your finances. Now, you still have a couple years to go as you move through this, but just know for the time being, it's like the more that you're really focusing on what you value, the better and the healthier and the stronger your finances are going to be. If there's been some delays with money coming in, it might ease up. And if there's been some challenges in being able to feel inspired, maybe there's been some blocks revolving around how you're making money or what you're doing, those may lift for you as well. Just focus on developing that self-worth and reliance because that's what Saturn wants you to do here. It wants you to pave your own way. The card that I got for you is the 10 of Wands, which is you're like, I'm tired. I've had enough of paving my own way. Look, here's the deal. Work should be pretty busy for you right now. And with all those planets in the 10th house coming into trines with Saturn and Neptune, I do feel like there's a little bit more that you have to push before you're able to kind of kick back and kind of chill a little bit more in November and December. I do feel like this is working hard for the money, right? Cue the song. You guys know I'm tone deaf. I'm not going to sing that, but that's what it feels like to me. It's like you have to work hard for everything that you receive. But when you get to the tail end of this transit, you're going to realize that it taught you the value of hard work. It taught you that if you put in the effort, you saw the return. But Pisces isn't physical. It's how you feel and the way that you're making money. It's what kind of fulfillment are you getting? Do you feel good doing what you're doing? Do you feel valued? And are you in alignment with what you're hoping to do out in the world? I would say it does feel a little heavy and a little challenging right now, but if there has been some limitations with resources or believing in yourself, likely you're about to push through that. Good luck. And then we have Pisces and Pisces rising. What's going on, guys? So you are having Saturn going direct in your sign. So it's going to be in your first house or conjunct some of your Pisces placements. Now, Saturn has associations with the 12th house of what's hidden and subconscious or spiritual, and the 11th house of networks, friends, and associations. So Saturn going direct in your first house is definitely about your self-identity and personal development becoming a primary focus. I think of your boundaries, your body, your vision, your needs in comparison to everybody else. Recently, you've had a retrograde in your 7th house where you were probably aware of like what people can or cannot give you or where they're back and forth. And it should have really made you realize that you have to be more self-reliant and that you have to have better boundaries with other people. Now, it might be about taking on more responsibility for your own life and your self-expression or building a strong sense of self-discipline and self-reliance. This can also be a time where you really want to pay attention at 0 degrees of your physical body, right? Saturn rules the teeth, bones, skin, and also this can be about having lower energy levels or issues in regards to mental health, issues in regards to also aging. You might be more aware of the aging process with Saturn going direct in your first house. I remember having those transits being like, what is that on my face? Is that a wrinkle? And I think Saturn in Pisces is about adapting to some of the changes and maybe recognizing where you're growing up and you're maturing in some way and becoming more aware of the necessary boundaries, right, with other people, but also the fact that you need to be very steadfast and committed to your goals and not allow yourself to kind of get swept up in the waves of what's going on collectively. So have boundaries, be really dedicated to what you're hoping to achieve. Pay attention to your physical body. I know you're coming out of a Venus retrograde this summer in your 6th house. So if you've been on the up and up with taking better care of yourself and your habits, maybe now you're really starting to see the effects of all of that hard work. The card that I get for you is the Chariot. So this is interesting because this is connecting to Cancer. So I'm wondering, like, are you finally seeing some of your goals come to fruition? Is it happening very quickly? Are you learning to better kind of move through your emotions and deal with emotions better? Certainly Saturn on the ascendant is not as emotional. It's a little bit more detached, taking a much more kind of practical view in where you see your life going. But this can also be indications of travel. So if you feel like you've been landlocked or you've had too much responsibility on your plate or you can't do things, especially with Scorpio season, with all these planets in your 9th house, I could see some of you guys actually traveling or booking something. So this can be about being on the move, traveling, or maybe even relocating in the process. Even if you do it alone, I could definitely see some of you guys being like, I'm going to go and do something on my own. I don't necessarily need to have somebody else around while I do that. That could definitely be Saturn waking up. All right, guys. Well, good luck. All the good Saturn sprinkles, all the good juju for you guys in the midst of this, because certainly over these next few weeks, we're going to really see the effects of Saturn and see whether or not we've been doing the work that we need to do. Let me know. Leave me your comments below. Where is Saturn going direct for you? What house? Is it on a personal planet? I love to hear those stories, especially if you have something around 0 degrees of Pisces. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check out that community tab. Like I said, we're going to probably be doing the live readings this Saturday instead of Friday. But I'll be back here doing those readings, and I will catch you guys on Sunday, where we're going to talk all about Venus going into Libra. That will be the astro weather for the week ahead. But until next time, I'll see all of you guys very soon. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.